a true story taken from an actual medical file.
Put the tray down there, nurse. Well, Jim, we're going to remove the bandages and change the dressings. It could be that you'll be able to see a little this morning, be able to observe some faint outlines. On the other hand, it may be early yet, too early. Whatever it is, I don't want you to be disappointed.
I don't know about being disappointed, Doctor. Right now, I'm just plain scared. That morning of September the 4th, 1956, I'd been 12 years in the dark. Perhaps I'd grown used to it, grown to depend on it, built my way of life around it. I hadn't seen for 12 years, and all the people who made up my existence were people whose faces I had never known. Was it strange that, for one frightened moment, I wanted to leave the bandages alone and let that world of mine stay undisturbed?
Bristol-Myers, makers of Clairol hair care products, Ipana toothpaste, and Score Clear Hair Cream for Men, take great pleasure in presenting Medical File. Factual stories of the men and women whose vigilance guards our lives. A reconstruction of clinical case histories, step by step, with the doctors who were there. Tonight, you'll hear the story Life in the Dark in Medical File.
Join the anti-cavity campaign. Join the Ipana Brigade.
New anti-cavity Ipana toothpaste has a secret weapon against decay. Its unique tooth defenders set up a germ-proof defense around each tooth. Ipana's germ barrier stays put for hours, won't rinse or wash away.
We're against tooth decay. That's why we're for anti-cavity Ipana.
Join the Ipana Brigade.
Clear Score, a clean winner. The clean look is in, man, in. Greasy hair is out, man, out.
Score groomed is clean, groomed break free, man, you score.
Man, you need Score, the water-mixable hair groom that says goodbye to greasy hair. Break free, man, use Score.
Score groomed is clean, groomed break free, man, you score.
Christmas Eve, 1944. Somewhere, I suppose, they were singing carols in the streets. But not where we were. We'd been attacking the hill since the first light of that day. Now it was late afternoon.
If somebody doesn't get that blasted gun up on the hill, it's going to get us.
Take it easy, Eddie. They're trying.
They've been trying all day. Unmissed machine gunners and a stinking mortar. And we're held up out here in the open.
It's never easy to take a hill like this one.
Stupid fools shining up their pants. Couldn't they have planned a way to go round it? Look out! Oh, that was close. Too darn close. We're like sitting ducks.
Here's another. Get down.
They've got the range.
Where's Morgan? Steve, find out from Morgan what's happening.
Yeah, see that we go forward or back, but let's get out of here.
Look out there! Eddie, down! You all right in there? Hey, Eddie, Jim. You all right? Oh, brother. Hey, stretcher bears! Stretcher bears!
And these two we've kept on liquid diet, sir.
Good. Now, about this man here.
Private James Wilson, C Company, 221st Battalion.
Let me see that card, will you?
Oh, here, Major.
Oh, thanks. Well, Private Wilson, how do you feel today?
I'd feel a lot better if somebody told me whereabouts I am.
You're in base hospital. I'm Major Lewis. You were brought down here from the emergency field station 2 days ago.
Base hospital. Oh, it feels good.
Then you're feeling better.
Anything would be better than being up there.
Pretty bad, I hear.
Bad enough for me. I'm no hero.
Who is?
What have they got these bandages around my face for?
You were injured by a mortar explosion. There's been some damage to your eyes.
Oh, yes, they hurt like the devil. So does my head.
You very nearly didn't make it, Wilson. According to your card, a shell exploded almost on top of you.
What about the others? Eddie Thompson, Steve, the rest of my patrol?
We don't know anything here. Just relax now, Private. Get plenty of rest.
How bad are my eyes?
We won't know for a while yet.
Am I going to be able to see?
Now, that's a question I can hardly answer.
Why not?
Because I'd prefer to leave it for the experts. Now, don't worry, Wilson. You've had a bad time, and your eyes have been affected in some way by that explosion. That I won't deny.
Why are the bandages on? For heaven's sake, why won't somebody tell me?
You've had a slight operation. When you were brought in, there were shell fragments in each eye. Small ones. They had to be removed. Don't worry, Wilson. You'll get the best attention we can possibly give you.
Three weeks later, mid-January 1945, I was invalided back to the General Hospital. There were bandages still around my eyes. I'd been in the dark ever since that moment on Christmas Eve. And when they finally removed the bandages, I was still in the dark. They took them off one morning. I could hear the birds singing outside the windows of the ward. Somehow, I knew the sun was shining, but I didn't see it. No, that wasn't the first time I knew I was blind. I think I'd known it all along. That day was simply the day that hope ran out.
Sit down here, Wilson. Can you make it? There's the chair.
I'll make it.
Yes, good man.
Oh, I'm getting quite expert. Another few months and I'll be an authority on all kinds of things. Like finding my way in the dark and sensing when people are near and making baskets.
We've put you through a lot of tests.
The lot, surely. It seems like weeks you've been testing me for one thing or another.
Well, it is weeks.
Does it amount to anything?
I've got some news for you, Wilson.
You don't have to take it easily with me, Doc. I've known for weeks that I'm blind, and I'm going to stay blind. Well, aren't I?
The right eye will have to be removed.
Removed?
Yes, have to be taken out. It's been injured beyond repair. By leaving it in, we only take pointless risks.
And the other eye? The left?
Well, there's an operation which entails removal of the cataract-clouded lens. I think we could perform that in 4 or 5 months' time. There's no reason at all why it shouldn't be partially successful.
Partially?
So that you can distinguish light and shade and see large objects from a close distance.
Well, that would be something.
It's not a lot. I wish I could promise more.
I was 8 months in hospital before the operations were finally complete. At the end of that time, my vision was about 5/200. It meant that from 5 feet away, I could see the big letter E at the top of the sight chart. 5 feet. I should have been able to see it from 200. November 1945. I was due to leave hospital. I had a last examination from Dr. Bedson.
Well, Jim, we're going to miss your cheery face around here. And I'm not kidding, it is a cheerful face. A lot different to when you came here.
Yes, a year nearly. You get to accept things.
Yes, I know.
What's the eye look like now, Doc?
About the same, Jim. We can detect scraps of metal floating around the inside of the eye, And there's a membrane of scar tissue blocking your sight. But the answer is still the same, Jim. We can't operate any further for fear of destroying the sight of the eye completely.
Look, Doctor, I'm as good as blind. I can't read. I have to count steps so I won't fall down. I can't walk in crowds without help. Don't you think I might like to take that risk?
It'd be a risk for no purpose, Jim. The operation wouldn't succeed.
I see.
Yes, you keep on getting flashes of hope, don't you? Like the time you heard about those corneal transplants.
The time you had to explain to me that was only for people with a scarred or diseased cornea of the eye. But my trouble was deeper.
Jim, we've been over all this before. I'm a lot more interested in what you're going to do when you get out of here.
Well, let's see if you react like all the others. I'm going back to college to study. I want to go on with the course I had to drop when I joined up. I want to be a school teacher.
That's fine.
You didn't laugh.
Why should I?
You know why you should. You know why the others did. A blind man going back to school.
I think it's pretty wonderful.
Thank God you said that.
Jim...
I was beginning to think I was the only one who believed it possible. I was beginning to think that perhaps I was stepping too high.
You get in there and show them. And, Jim...
Yes?
I hope we run into each other someday.
So do I, Doctor. Yes, so do I.
Sit down, Mr. Wilson. There. Can I help you?
No, it's all right, thank you, sir.
Wilson, I'm going to wish you the same as I wish every student at the beginning of a new year. I'm going to wish you luck.
Thank you, Professor.
We have to discuss your handicap for a few moments now to make certain arrangements. And thereafter, we won't refer to it again.
That's the way I want it, sir.
You'll be treated like any other student. If you fail to turn up at your lectures, you'll get short shift from me, the same as anyone else.
Thank you, sir.
Now then, you're going to need somebody to help you in your reading. I understand you have a slight amount of vision.
I might be able to read big headline print with a magnifying glass.
And obviously you're going to need help. Can you afford to pay someone?
Yes, sir. I have my college fees paid and a full pension.
Well, there are plenty of students working their way through, and others anxious to supplement their spending money. I don't think we'll have any trouble getting someone to read with you and help you study. I'll look through the list and see who's put their name down for additional college posts.
Come in. Yes? Who is it?
Mr. Wilson, I'm Anne Field. Professor Norman said you need a reader.
Oh, will you sit down, Miss Field? I'm afraid the room's in a bit of a mess. I've been trying to put my clothes away.
You sit down. Let me do it.
Now, hold on a moment. I want to employ you as a reader, not a professional valet.
Never mind, just for one. Sit down and let me take care of it.
I don't have to be helped.
When it comes to unpacking clothes, all men have to be helped, and you're no different to anyone else.
I'm glad you said that.
Well, you're not, are you? Now sit down and stop arguing. Let me fix this mess.
Her name was Anne Field, and she was 22 years old. She had a way of helping me do things that never made me awkward or embarrassed, the way it so often did with others. We studied English and history together, and she read my textbooks for me all that autumn and winter, and the following spring. The end of the year celebration was our engagement party. A few months later, we were married. For the first time since that day in Italy, when I lost my sight, I could see that there was going to be a future.
Clear score, a clean winner. The clean look is in, man, in. Greasy hair is out, man, out.
Score groomed is clean groomed, break free, man, you score.
Man, you need Score, the water-mixable hair groom that says goodbye to greasy hair. Break free, man. Use Score.
Score groomed is clean groomed, break free, man, you score. Join the anti-cavity campaign. Join the Ipana Brigade!
New anti-cavity Ipana toothpaste has a secret weapon against decay. Its unique tooth defenders set up a germ-proof defense around each tooth. Ipana's germ barrier stays put for hours, won't rinse or wash away.
We're against tooth decay. That's why we're for anti-cavity Ipana.
Join the Ipana Brigade!
As English master at a small private school. I stayed there 2 years, and then applied for and was accepted at a larger and better-known college. I was learning to live with my handicap, but it was still an ordeal to meet people for the first time, especially someone like Henry Miller, the principal of Leicester College, who called me for an interview when my application was first being considered.
Well, let's discuss this quite frankly, Mr. Wilson. Just what degree of vision do you have at the present time?
Well, sir, when I left hospital in 1945, it was 5/200ths. I think it may be a little less than that now.
In fact, very little vision at all.
Yes, I'm afraid very little.
Yet the principal of your former school has given you a splendid reference. How do you manage it? Correcting study papers, for instance.
My wife went through college with me, sir. She reads the papers, and we mark them together.
And during class, how do you manage?
Memory. I know the syllabus by heart. I very soon get to know my students by their voices. It's worked out during the past few years. I think it can go on working.
I'm sure it can. Believe me, I was most impressed by your application. The job is open to you, Wilson.
Thank you, sir.
You will start at the beginning of term next week. And, by the way, we all have handicaps. I've got a gammy leg. Welcome to Leicester College, Mr. Wilson. I'm looking forward to working with you.
In 1950, I went to teach at Leicester College. I was still there 6 years later. I don't think it would be sheer emotion that makes me say those were the happiest years of my life. Somehow, all the things I'd ever wanted to be and do were there at Leicester. I was happy in my work, in my associates, relaxed and at ease with my students, and very much in love with my wife. I lived in the dark, but I was never alone.
Not much in the paper tonight, darling. The government being attacked again.
Nothing that won't be on the late-night news bulletin. Oh, well, I'd better get you to go over those exam corrections, Anne. Young Rayner and Hendricks are coming round about 8.
Seems to me we have at least a couple of your students around here nearly every night.
You don't mind, do you?
Mind? I love it. It's not one of the boys, it's another master. And everyone who drops by makes me realize what a success you've made of this, Jim.
I couldn't have done it without your help.
You couldn't have done it without being the kind of person you are. I'll get those exam papers.
Thank you, my dear.
Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed a name here in the paper. Benson, Dr. Gordon Benson.
Benson? Oh, that was the name of the surgeon in the Army Hospital.
Listen. Visiting eye surgeon, Dr. Gordon Benson, who is in the city to give a series of lectures on new ophthalmic advances, dined yesterday with a select group of doctors when plans for a new eye clinic at the Royal Hospital were discussed. Oh, Jim, it sounds very like the same man.
You know, I think it is. Jove, he's come on in the world.
Yes, hasn't he?
Oh, Benson. He wasn't a bad sort. I remember he said he hoped we'd run into each other someday. Fancy me remembering that. Oh, it must be all of 12 years ago.
Why don't you drop him a line?
Well, if he's dining with a select group of doctors and lecturing, he won't want to be bothered with an old case history who happens to have become a school teacher.
Oh, I don't know. I think you're a very special old case history.
I doubt if he does. Benson must have had thousands of patients like me.
Well, just the same, he might like to hear. Why not write him a note, send it care of the university?
Oh, I suppose I could.
Here, before your students turn up, I'll run a piece of paper into your portable, and you can dictate something.
You're very keen on this, aren't you? Look, Anne, don't get any ideas, darling.
Like what?
Like thinking that an eye specialist lecturing on advances in eye surgery might be able to do something for me.
Well, he might.
He made that point plain 12 years ago. There's nothing that can be done.
All right, Jim. Then we won't get any ideas. But let's drop him a line just the same.
We sent a letter off to Dr. Benson, and an answer came the following day. If I thought he'd forgotten me in a mass of case histories since then, I was far from right. He came to dinner 2 nights later, and he not only remembered, he was still interested. He insisted on making an examination while dinner was being prepared, and afterwards, over coffee, brought up the subject again.
You know, Jim, this is what I really enjoy. Meeting a man after so many years, finding him a success in every possible way. Yes, I remember when you left hospital, you were going to try and become a teacher. I often wondered what had happened to you.
Here's the reason for my success, Doctor.
Oh, yes, I can well believe it.
Now, that's not true. I only helped. Jim did the toughest parts alone. Like standing in front of a class he couldn't see for the first time. That takes a special kind of courage.
You've never seen your wife?
Only as a blurred shape.
Jim, when I examined your eye before dinner, I must confess I was, well, rather surprised.
Why, Doctor?
Because it's in such good condition. I would have expected deterioration, but, well, there's hardly any. Yes, do you know, I think we ought to operate.
What?
Operate, Dr. Benson?
I think there's a very good chance of improving the vision.
But you said 12 years ago.
Ah, yes, Jim. 12 years ago, we didn't know about this new technique. The membrane that was formed at the time of your injury is what's blocking the sight. Well, I could cut through it. No, the operation itself is quite simple. We've been doing it successfully over the past few years.
Yes, but what if it didn't work?
Then there's just a chance you'd lose the sight of the eye completely.
It's my last one. It may be only about 5% effective, but I'd be worse off without it.
I'd say the chances are 70 to 30 in favor of success. But look here, why don't you and Anne talk it over and give me an answer in a few days' time?
Do we need to talk about it?
No. No, I don't suppose we do. This was in the back of Anne's mind when she wrote to you, Doctor. And mine, too, I suppose. Although I wasn't going to admit it. If there's a chance for me to see again, I want to take it. How soon can you operate? The operation took place 2 days later. And 72 hours after that, the bandages were removed. I'll admit it, I was scared. All the people who made up my existence were people whose faces I had never seen, more than as a blurred outline. I was scared of what I was going to see, and scared of not being able to see at all. And then the bandages came off, and all at once, I knew everything was going to be all right.
Jim?
Why didn't you tell me you were beautiful?
But I'm not.
The loveliest thing I've ever seen. Just stand there, darling. Don't move away. I want to go on looking.
Well, you're going to be able to look for the rest of your life, Jim. Now, how about letting me make a small examination?
You look fine too, Doc.
Thanks.
Is it going to last? I mean, really last?
Yes, it's going to last, Jim, all your life. You'll need strong glasses, of course, but you'll see as well as anyone else. Now, we're putting the bandages back on until the wound's healed completely. You'll just have to be patient for a few more days.
4 days after that, and the bandages came off for the last time. That afternoon, September the 8th, 1956. I went through my last examination from Dr. Benson and heard the final words of reassurance.
Wounds all healed, Jim. Vision is improved 75%. Well, I'm leaving for my hometown tomorrow, but you'll be perfectly all right now.
There's no way I can thank you, Doc.
No. Thanks aren't needed. I'm only sorry we didn't meet like this a few years ago. Perhaps we could have restored your sight that much sooner.
I've no regrets. Those 12 years in the dark taught me a new way to live. I think I'll be all the better for it.
Yes, I'm sure you will.
Oh, by the way, there's quite a view from this window.
Now he's showing off, Dr. Benson. He's been staring at everything all over town like a country cousin.
What's so interesting down there, Jim?
I see by the neon sign across the street that they serve drinks. How about coming along and joining in a small celebration?
Cavity campaign. Join the Ipana Brigade.
New anti-cavity Ipana toothpaste has a secret weapon against decay. Its unique tooth defenders set up a germ-proof defense around each tooth. Ipana's germ barrier stays put for hours, won't rinse or wash away.
We're against tooth decay. That's why we're for anti-cavity Ipana.
Join the Ipana Brigade.
Clear score, a clean winner. The clean look is in, man, in. Greasy hair is out, man, out.
Score groomed is clean, groomed break free, man, you score.
Man, you need Score, the water mixable hair groom that says goodbye to greasy hair. Break free, man, use Score.
Score groomed is clean, groomed break free, man, you score.
Medical File, the documented story of the men and women who in hospitals, research centers, and lonely surgeries guard our lives. Tonight's story was directed by John Seeliger and produced by David Manley. Listen again next week for another true story from Medical File. This is a true story taken from an actual medical file.
Good evening, and welcome to Medical File. I'm Dr. Melvin Hoffman, your host for this half hour. Tonight I have a story for you which points up ways of thinking which are alien to our own, but which are nevertheless very real. It's not pleasant to think that eminent doctors, given to a dedicated calling, can be manipulated by the power-hungry hands of a dictatorship. Yet this can and does happen, even in the world of today. Tonight's story tells of intrigue, of plotting and counterplotting, and above all, of a doctor who had to choose between two loyalties, to his country and to his profession. I call this story simply A Member of the Government.
Medical File. Factual stories of the men and women whose vigilance guards our lives. A reconstruction of clinical case histories, step by step with the doctors who were there. Tonight, you'll hear the story, A Member of the Government, by Peter Yeldham in Medical File.
Dr. Joseph Remmer, an average surgeon attending to average patients in an East European city. It was a wintry January day when two men came to call. A day Dr. Remmer will never forget or ever want to remember. On that morning, Dr. Remmer was in his consulting room examining a young man who needed an operation, explaining to him what had to be done and why.
You see, Kurtz, the damaged membrane covering the lung has to be removed if you're to have free use of the underlying lung in the future. And... Excuse me. What is it, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Remmer. There's an urgent message from...
Elsa, I'm busy. Bring it to me later.
I'm afraid Doctor, there are two men in the waiting room. They insist on seeing you at once.
Oh, very well. Let me see the message. Excuse me, Kurtz. What is this?
Doctor, should I tell them you have no appointments available today?
Oh, no. You'd better ask them in... Have them wait in my private sitting room.
Yes, Doctor.
I think... tell them I'll be with them just as soon as I'm through with my patient.
Yes, Doctor. I'll tell them to wait.
Schultz of all people. Oh, look, I'm sorry for this interruption, Mr. Kurtz. Now, getting back to what I was saying about the removal of the damaged membrane, I think it should come out as soon as possible.
Ah, Dr. Remmer. At last.
My apologies, gentlemen. I had the patient with me.
That's quite all right. Now, I don't think you know my colleague, Anton Rolf.
No, we haven't had the pleasure. How do you do, Mr. Rolf? Well, gentlemen, your note said that this was a matter of some urgency.
And secrecy, Doctor. Can your nurse be trusted?
Elsa? Completely.
Good. And we think we can trust you, Doctor. Our inquiries have made us believe so.
Inquiries?
You don't think we came here by accident, do you, Doctor? Or by picking your name from the telephone book?
I'm afraid I don't understand.
You will, Doctor. Within about 12 hours or less. In fact, we want you to be available at 8 o'clock this evening.
You people are taking a lot for granted. In the first place, I have other arrangements for this evening.
This is an urgent case, Doctor. I'm sure there have been other times when you've had to change your arrangements at the last moment.
Oh, perhaps, but before I make any alterations to my plans for tonight, I want to know what the devil this is all about and who I'm supposed to see.
Tonight, Dr. Remmer. Tonight, you'll understand. For the moment, let us merely say you are to see a member of the government.
I'm sorry, I'm not such a fool. Schultz, you're the head of the Ministry of Information, and you're a close friend.
Doctor, if I were you, I should not make too many guesses at this stage.
There have been rumors in the newspaper that he was ill.
The editors have already been reprimanded. And now I suggest that we stop this foolishness.
Look, Rolf, who are you?
I am a friend of the state. And I hope you are, Doctor.
Just what is that supposed to mean?
I have made a very close study of your record. There were certain incidents when you were a student.
There are always incidents when people are students. It would be very strange if they were not, but now I have no politics, not anymore.
I hope not, Doctor. Good. Then tonight at 8. We shall call for you, Dr. Remmer.
I apologize for the disconcerting, very necessary precautions, Doctor. The secrecy and the closed car that brought you here. You know, of course, where we are?
Naturally.
Believe me, the precautions were not to prevent you from knowing as to what you must know. They were to avoid having others learn of your presence here tonight.
Yes, I understand.
You know who I am, of course?
Dr. Platz, isn't he?
Yeah, Nicholas Platz, state physician. We may have met somewhere at an official reception.
No, I don't think so.
Dr. Remmer does not attend official receptions. Dr. Remmer is a man dedicated to his work.
I see.
I think that is perhaps why we have chosen him.
Yes, but perhaps somebody will explain what it is I've been chosen for.
Our leader is a sick man, Dr. Remmer. He has been under the care of his physician for the past month.
Then the newspaper rumors, they are true.
The fact does not excuse their being published. The illness of the head of state does not call for blazing headlines or even gossip column whispers.
So you want it kept from the people?
Giving more importance to this, I want your word, Dr. Remmer, that whatever is said within these walls tonight will not be repeated when you leave, to anyone.
Very well, you have my word.
Then listen. The head of state is ill. Dr. Platz says it is possible an operation will restore him to health. He will give you the details.
In what way is he ill?
For several years, he's been suffering from coronary artery stenosis, Doctor.
So, yeah?
And during the past 12 months, he has had several attacks of angina. Last month, the condition has been particularly severe, and we think that unless surgical treatment is carried out, he may not live until the end of the year.
I see. So you want me to examine the patient, take part in a consultation, and confirm your diagnosis, is that right?
That is part of it, Doctor. But then also, if you consider surgical treatment necessary, we want you to carry out the operation.
The operation?
You understand now, Doctor, why so many inquiries had to be made.
Well, Remmer, you've examined our Schwitzer and read the case history. What do you think?
Well, he's obviously in need of surgical treatment. I see from the series of electrocardiograms that there are two definite pictures. These ones taken after he'd been exercising show signs of a coronary insufficiency, but these signs are decidedly less after a period of rest. And the history shows that when the attacks occurred, the patient always responded well to nitrite.
Yes, it's quite so.
All other tests point to a genuine angina pectoris.
Well, at least you confirm our diagnosis. I think our layman friends in the government were skeptical. So, Doctor, what's to be done?
Look, Platz, this is madness.
My dear
Listen
fellow,
to me, will you? What's the matter with them? Why do they want me to do it?
It seems they consider you eminently qualified.
I'm qualified to do the operation, perhaps. I've done it many times, but this...
Our leader is a man, Remmer, the same as any other. A little more vain, perhaps, but after all, he was a factory worker once, and now he's the head of the state. So I suppose vanity can be excused.
Platz, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I think I do. You're wondering why you, Joseph Remmer, a surgeon of the state hospital and a private consultant, should be chosen like this, out of all the eminent members of our profession. Granted, you have a good record, and you're a conscientious surgeon, but you've never done anything outstanding to raise us.
There are so many others, Professor Vaschek, Dr. Corder.
Yes, of course, there's others, yes. But you see, Professor Vaschek is considered, well, politically unreliable. And Dr. Corder is not in favor of those around our leader.
Yes, but there are also other great surgeons in Berlin or Vienna or Paris.
And my dear Remmer, there are newspaper men in those places.
In heaven's name, isn't Nauschwutz's life more important than a bunch of newspaper reports?
Oh, Doctor, you've been too long with your scalpel and your books. There are things you should learn about our leader, about any dictator. You see, such a man must not be ill. He must always be in good health, because if the world headlines should declare otherwise, then there are people ready and waiting to take their chance and, shall we say, enforce political complications.
So they're all afraid. Everyone around him. They're afraid that the iron rule of this country might be at an
Doctor, I'd be careful with such talk.
Why, you stated it. Now take Schultz, the information minister, and this man Rolf, whoever he is. You mean people like them have built a legend out of a sick and ailing man, and now they're frightened that the...
Ah, Doctor, you finished your examination.
Yes, I'm finished.
Ah, then I take it that an operation will be necessary.
Oh, yes. It's the logical way of correcting this condition. However, in this case, I don't think it's possible. Not the usual operation. The patient, I think, is too weak to stand it.
Doctor,
and also, I don't think I'm the man to undertake whatever may be possible. Perhaps your inquiries didn't tell you, gentlemen, but I have never been in sympathy with the regime. If I had been, I may have risen higher at the hospital in my profession. Isn't that so, Dr. Price?
Now, look here,
Some operation will be necessary. But you'll have to get someone else. I'll respect your wishes to keep silent on this matter, but I can't do any more than that.
Wait. Don't go. Doctor, despite your modesty, we think you're eminently suitable. And you agree that an operation must be performed. Someone will call for you the day after tomorrow at 9 in the morning. The operation will take place here at 11 o'clock. You understand? That is all, Doctor. Good evening.
Dr. Joseph Remmer left the official state residence and was driven home. He knew then why he had been chosen. He knew it, looking into the dark eyes of the man who called himself Anton Rolf. It was not because of his chance of succeeding in this operation, but because the order of tomorrow was failure. Under Remmer's hands on the operating table, the order of tomorrow was death for the leader.
You are listening to Medical File.
When Dr. Joseph Remmer arrived home late that evening, there were certain things that had to be done at once. The first of these...
Hello?
Hello, Elsa. This is Dr. Remmer.
Doctor, is something wrong?
Look, Elsa, I'm sorry to disturb you so late at night, but there's a rather important matter that's come up, and I'd like you please to take care of it first thing in the morning.
Oh, yes, Doctor. What is it?
Will you please cancel all my appointments for the day after tomorrow?
But I've already done that.
Elsa? You say you've done it?
Yes, on your orders.
But I don't understand. When was this?
Earlier this evening, surely you remember. Hello? Doctor, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I thought you'd hung up. It was about 8:30, I suppose, and Mr. Rolf phoned me and said he was speaking for you. He said you wanted all appointments cancelled for the day after tomorrow, so I sat down right away and rang them up. That was right, wasn't it, Doctor?
Yes, Elsa, that was right. I just wasn't told it had already been done.
Is there anything else, Doctor?
No, Elsa, nothing else, thank you. Good night.
Good night, Doctor.
Dr. Remmer, don't you think it is rather late for a telephone call, Doctor?
Look, Mr. Rolf, I've taken a great deal of trouble to reach you because there are several things I want to say.
Yeah, well...
First of all, if there's any advice to be given to my secretary about cancellation of appointments, then I'll be the one to give it.
I thought I'd save you the trouble, Doctor.
So kind of you. Did you also want to save me the trouble of repeating all I said over the telephone? Is that why my phone has been tapped?
I don't know what you mean.
I've no doubt. Well, let me tell you, and the tape recorder you doubtless have running, that I've decided to do the operation. I'll agree to do it, but only on one condition.
Condition? What condition?
I want an assistant.
Most certainly. Dr. Platz.
I'm afraid that's not good enough. I don't want Dr. Platz. I want my own assistant, somebody I can trust.
That's not very complimentary to Dr. Platz.
Possibly not. It doesn't matter. The man I have in mind is a personal friend and a fellow surgeon at the state hospital. His name is Ketzmann, Rudi Ketzmann.
I don't think I know him.
No, but doubtless you will when we arrive. Now, I want your permission to consult Dr. Ketzmann and to have him assist me at the operation. Come in here, Rudy. We can talk without being interrupted.
Joseph, I still find this difficult to understand. 2 o'clock, and unearth the hour of the morning. You telephone to me and say you must see me. And you say soon I must assist you in some operation?
Tomorrow, my dear friend. 33 hours from now. And believe me, I'm not forcing you to assist. It's simply that I need someone I can trust. And finally, I've got their approval about you.
There's some kind of trouble.
Not exactly, but I have to operate on Najvuce.
Our leader?
Exactly. You've probably heard rumors that he's ill. Well, those rumors are true. He has a coronary artery stenosis, and he's very weak, too weak to withstand any major surgery.
But you said you are to operate...
On the orders of Dr. Nicholas Platz, the state physician, and Schultz of the Ministry of Information, and a man named Anton Rolf.
Rolf?
Yes. I've only recently realized who he is. The chief of the secret police, and the most likely man to take over as the next head of state. Took me all this time to work that one out.
Joseph, I don't understand.
Oh, it's simple enough, Rudy. They don't think our leader can live. Platz has decided that. But they cannot afford to have him die at just any time. They have to know when he's going to die, you see, so that the people who want the power can move in quickly. And that's why there will be an operation that cannot succeed. And these people will be ready to take over on the moment of Nashvudce's death. I should imagine they have everything prepared.
But, Joseph,
They'll say they were justified. They'll tell you the internal peace of our country and the overseas credit balance can both be saved by these measures.
You mean that if he dies on the operating table tomorrow, Anton Rolf will establish himself as the new head of state before anyone can make a move?
I think we both agree, Rudy, that this country under Rolf would be no place for anyone, but that's politics. And I don't want politics to be any part of this.
How can it be anything else?
Tomorrow there's to be an operation. I want it to be medicine, not politics.
Yeah, but can it be? When they want him to die and you're chosen to be the one?
I'm under no illusions as to why I was chosen. You see, there were some incidents, as Rolf puts it, when I was a student. I'm afraid they need someone to blame. That's always the case, and in this case, it's me.
There's one way out of this for you, Joseph.
And what's that, my friend?
You can refuse to operate.
No, I'm afraid I couldn't.
There are ways to disappear.
Oh, yeah. But there's also my wife and family, my home, the practice I've built up. And there is just one thing more.
What is that?
I've already accepted Nashvudce as my patient. And with your help, I think I can save his life. Gentlemen, if you're ready, it's almost 11 o'clock. The patient has been given an anesthetic, and my assistant and I are ready to begin.
I think, first of all, Doctor, we might have an explanation of what you intend to do.
I'm going to operate, gentlemen.
Then you reverse your diagnosis of yesterday that the patient was too weak.
I do.
Good. Let's get on with it. Dr. Platz has already given us details of the operation, so we can now follow the progress.
Excellent. Except that I don't intend to perform the standard operation.
Just one moment, Dr. Remmer. Explain that.
You don't intend to carry out the standard procedure in an important case like this?
No, I think the standard procedure would most certainly kill the patient.
Please, gentlemen, give the doctor a chance to explain.
I've already explained it to the patient himself. Our leader has agreed to leave it entirely in my hands. I'm prepared to take whatever risk may be involved.
But what method of treatment do you intend to use?
Briefly, it is this. To correct this heart ailment, we have to sever certain nerves leading to the heart itself. The standard procedure is an opening into the chest and, at times, the collapsing of one lung to reach the nerve centers. But here, if we attempted to open the chest, it would kill the patient. So instead, I intend to try and reach the nerve by means of a pneumothorax needle and destroy the nerve center by cauterization.
Dr. Platz!
An interesting theory, Remmer, but a risk I think that shouldn't be allowed.
If the general has already agreed to the treatment, then it must take place.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. I assure you that it can be done without undue strain on the patient. Now, if you're ready, we can begin.
Dr. Joseph Remmer went ahead with preparations for the operation, and no one stopped him. And in the small theater, ringed by party officials in white masks and gowns, they began.
Scalpel.
Scalpel, Doctor.
Gentlemen, we're making an incision beneath the left armpit. Swab, please.
The incision was made, the area swabbed clean of blood. The pneumothorax needle, an instrument the thickness of a pencil and hollow, was then introduced through the wall of the thorax. Carefully, patiently, the lung was collapsed.
Now the lung is fully collapsed, beating in time with the heart. No complications, no adhesions. We are now going to connect the thoracoscope. And darken the room, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. I'm sorry, gentlemen, for the momentary discomfort of darkness. Perhaps Dr. Platz will explain to you what a thoracoscope is.
Well, Platz?
It's a kind of internal telescope, gentlemen, which can be connected to the pneumothorax needle. Dr. Remmer is about to introduce the cautery, an electric instrument whose point can be raised red hot to destroy the nerve ganglia. Through the thoracoscope, he can see exactly what he's doing.
Thank you, Dr. Platz.
It seems to me, Platz, that you might have made us aware of this treatment.
Cautery, please. Pulse unchanged, Doctor.
Unchanged.
Lung pressure gauge.
0.
Yes, the nerve ganglia is now visible. Gentlemen, these are the ganglia of the sympathetic nerve, which sends fibers to the heart and can interfere with its blood supply. Current, please.
Dr. Remmer cauterized the nerves responsible for the heart damage. The current was then switched off, the cautery removed, and all tubes and equipment of the thoracoscope and the needle were withdrawn. Then the surface wound was carefully stitched, and the patient was wheeled away. The following morning, the state radio carried the news: the head of state had had a minor operation and was now on the way to complete recovery.
Dr. Remmer, forgive me for intruding. We've taken up far too much of your time already.
Mr. Schultz. And where's your good friend Anton Rolf?
Please, no friend of mine, Doctor.
No?
He and Platz, they were plotting to let Najbuchi die. It would have happened but for you, which is why I'm here.
They really wanted him to die?
They had the machinery all ready to take over the government, Doctor. And no matter what you may think of us in the present government, life under Anton Rolf would have been infinitely worse.
Yes, I can well imagine. But tell me something. Why was I chosen for this?
It seems that was Platz's idea. He thought you were the kind of surgeon he could handle, the kind who would be overawed by the occasion and do what he was told.
I see.
You were very lucky, Doctor. When you asked for an assistant, when you insisted there should be others present to witness the operation, Anton Rolf had to allow it. He had to make everything look natural. And he was acting on the advice of Dr. Platz that you would operate, and that our leader would undoubtedly die.
I'm beginning to realize how lucky I was.
Very wise, too. But I've come to tell you that you'll find our leader's gratitude will reward you well.
Oh, I don't want that.
Nevertheless, Doctor, you performed an operation, and you are entitled to receive a fee. Najbuchi asks you to accept this.
Thank you.
Aren't you going to open it?
Later.
You don't like us very much, do you, Doctor? Any of us, no matter what side we're on, whether it's Rolf or Dr. Platz or Najbuchi or me.
No, Schultz. You see, I remember this country when it was free, as it may be again one day.
All right, Doctor. Stick to your scalpel. Let those who are qualified run the country. We know what's best for the people. There's plenty of freedom here. And I'd be careful about saying otherwise.
It's a matter of opinion. But I'll be careful.
Now, there's one other matter. For obvious reasons, no word of the truth on this operation can be allowed to reach our newspapers or the foreign press. We understand it's your practice to dictate a record of your operations to keep for your files.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Doctor, but all such records must be confiscated. And if you do not hand them over voluntarily, then we shall be forced to search. But those records must be in our keeping. Anywhere else, they are a danger to the state.
It doesn't always work out for the best. Many men, like Dr. Remmer, have paid with their lives for taking such a courageous stand against those who seek absolute power. And it took a great deal of courage for Remmer to do what he did, knowing that all that was wanted of him was that he be the scapegoat, the one on whom all blame could be shifted. It's encouraging to know that, despite the odds against them, men such as this are not defeated. And as long as they go on trying, there is hope. I'll be back again next week with a further story from my medical file. So until then, this is Melvin Hoffman wishing you all good night.
Medical File, the documented story of the men and women who in hospitals, research centers, and lonely surgeries guard our lives. Tonight's story, A Member of the Government, was directed by John Seeliger and produced by David Manley. Listen again next week for another true story from Medical File. This is a true story taken from an actual medical file.
I wonder how many times you've heard, read, or perhaps seen stories in which a doctor has said, "We have done all we can." Or perhaps, a little sadly, "We did all we could." And yet, it isn't always as trite or melodramatic as fiction writers sometimes make it sound. Let me tell you a story of an occasion on which something more than all a doctor can do was needed. And I've called the story A Turn for the Better.
Medical File. Factual stories of the men and women whose vigilance guards our lives. A reconstruction of clinical case histories, step by step with the doctors who were there. Medical File.
Flower Connection has just opened their flagship store in Linden, Johannesburg, at 65 on 4th, situated in 4th Avenue. For fresh cut flowers, plants and florist accessories at wholesale prices, come to Flower Connection. Call Jenny on 076 951 9449 or visit our website at www.flowerconnection.com.
Splash the water hog, splashing all day long. Using up the water, it's too late when it's gone. If you want to help, then this is what to do. Make sure the water hog is never you. Just make sure the water hog is never, ever you.
My story begins in the early hours of a New Year's Day. A few of the hardier souls still have an hour or two of gaiety and laughter before them, but for most, the parties are over. It's time to go home.
Should old acquaintance be forgot for the sake of old lang syne? Oh, it's a great party, eh, Linda?
Yes, great.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Just a little tired, that's all.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Roger.
It's going to be a good year for us, eh?
Hope so.
I'll tell you what. Look, let's look in and wish Taffy a Happy New Year, huh? I told you he was having a thrash, didn't I?
Yes, you did, but it is late, Roger.
Oh, nonsense. You know what Taffy's like. He'll probably go right through the night. And I did say we might look in.
I wasn't thinking of him. I was thinking of us.
Well, why can't we make a night of it? New Year comes but once a year.
I told my mother I wouldn't be too late. She'll probably be waiting up for me.
She's always waiting up for you.
Well, she worries about me. It's only natural. It can't be easy for her all alone.
If you ask me, if you can't have a little bit of fun,
that's
then...
silly, Roger. We've had a lot of fun. It was a wonderful party. It's late and I'd like to go home.
And I want to go and have a drink with Taffy.
I think you've had enough already.
Now, what's that supposed to mean? Do you think I'm drunk?
I didn't say that.
You tell me, how many times have you seen me drunk?
Oh, let's not argue.
Just tell me. Are we going to Taffy's place or not?
Well, you can go if you like, but you can drop me off at home first.
All right. I'll drop you home so your mother can tuck you up in bed like a good little girl. Then I'm going out to have some fun. I'm going to have a ball.
Roger, don't be cross.
Who said I was cross?
Well, you're driving as though you're cross.
There's nothing wrong with the way I'm driving.
You're driving far too fast, and you know it.
You don't have to worry about a thing. You just sit back and relax. Leave it to Roger. Here's to dear old Roger. Drink him down, drink him down. Here's
Roger,
to dear
look
old...
out!
What? Ah! Linda? Linda? Linda. Oh, no, Linda. Help! Help!
Doctor, is she going to be all right?
I'll be frank with you, Mrs. Grossfield. Your daughter's condition is very grave.
Look, can I see her?
Not at the moment, I'm afraid. I suggest you go home, Mrs. Grossfield. There's nothing you can do to help here. You can phone the sister in the morning. If there's any change, she'll ring you.
No, I'd rather wait in the waiting room if you don't mind. Couldn't bear to be alone.
Then I'll give you something to help you to relax.
What are her chances, Doctor? Tell me the truth.
There's a pretty fair chance that she'll live, but only in a wheelchair, I'm afraid.
Roger?
Mr. Houghton? He's badly shocked, of course. He's under sedation now, but apart from slight bruises and abrasions, he wasn't injured. He must have been thrown clear of the car as it overturned and dropped.
He wasn't injured.
You can see him for a moment, if you like.
No, thank you, Doctor. I don't think I ever want to see that young man again.
After Roger's car had skidded out of control, it overturned, bounced through a guardrail at the side of the road, and dropped some 25 feet down an embankment. Miraculously, he'd been thrown clear, and he escaped without injury. When the ambulance crew had managed to extract Linda Grossfield from the twisted, mangled mess of metal, one of them remarked that she looked as though every bone in her body was broken. A thorough examination at the hospital almost confirmed this alarming on-the-spot diagnosis. 8 ribs were broken on one side, 3 on the other. The left shoulder was dislocated. The pelvis was cracked in 3 places, the right thigh was broken, and there was an open break in the left leg.
I want to know exactly what happened, Roger. What? I don't know, Dad. The car just seemed to go out of control. There was nothing I could do. You must have been going like the wind. No, I wasn't. I know that road like the back of my hand. I know that bend. I know you can't take it fast. Something must have gone wrong with the steering. It's almost a brand new car. Well, things still can go wrong. You'd been drinking? No. Well, I had a couple at the party, but I was perfectly all right. Look, I know what the roads are like over the new year. It's murder. It's asking for trouble to get drunk. You probably don't remember very much about it, but the police did a test on you at the hospital. They didn't tell me what the count was, but they did warn me that there's every chance there'll be charges against you. And Linda? Yes, there's that, too. It'll depend on what happens to her, Roger. But you nearly killed her. From what the doctors told me, it might have been better for her if you had. Oh, Dad. Oh. I don't want to sound hard on you, son, but it's a bit late for tears now, isn't it? Do you think I don't know that? Do you think I need you to tell me that? Sit down. Try and calm yourself. I was drunk. Of course I was. I must have had quite a few. But I was all right when I left the party. I just felt merry, you know. It had been a great party, but it seemed to get worse. I suppose the concentration of driving must have made it worse. And then I got stupid. I started a fight with Linda. I knew what I was doing, but I just didn't care. I wanted to go to another party. She didn't. I got angry. I was going far too fast. Well, now we know the truth. Do you think that helps? I've known the truth all the time. I'm the one who should be in the hospital bed. You said just now that it might have been better if she'd died. Well, I'll tell you something. I wish I'd died. I wish I was dead.
I'm here, love. No, don't try and talk. I'm here. I'll sit with you. It's awful. Don't tire yourself. Darling, you're going to be all right. It'll take time, but the doctor says he'll be able What about Roger? Don't worry about Roger. Is he all right? There's nothing wrong with him at all. I want to see him. No, Linda. You have nothing to say to him. In fact, Mr. Benson says that neither of us should say anything to him. Mr. Benson? Yes, I've been to see him. He's going to look after the legal side. Oh, no. No. You don't think we're not going to sue him, do you? After what he did to you. Oh. And it looks as though he's going to be in trouble with the police, too. Oh, I want to see him, huh? Just once, for a minute or two. There's something I've got to tell him. I must talk to him. What do you want to say to him? It's just between the two of us, huh? Will you ask him to come? Oh, I'm not sure. Please, Mum. Please. All right, love. I'll telephone as soon as I get home. Now you just try and get some rest.
Houghton here?
Hello, Mr. Houghton. This is Mrs. Gracefield.
Yes, Mrs. Gracefield. How are you?
A little tired, but all right.
Yes, this is a big strain for all of us.
Mr. Houghton, I've just left Linda. She wants to see Roger.
See? How is she?
Very weak. She has a lot of pain. And of course she can hardly move. I tried to tell her that she shouldn't see Roger. I would be telling a lie if I told you anything else.
I understand how you feel, Mrs. Gracefield. My wife and I both do.
But if that's what she wants, it's probably more important. We don't want her fretting about anything.
No, of course not. But I must tell you, I've talked to him about seeing Linda. He says he doesn't want to. He says he could never bring himself to look her in the face again. He's taken this very badly.
So he should, I would have thought.
Yes, of course, but... Well, I know he got out of that crash without injury, but I wonder if he'll ever really get over it.
Perhaps I should talk to him.
It might help. Will you hold on? I'll call him.
All right.
Roger? Roger. Hello, Mrs. Gracefield. I must ask you to hang up. I've got to get a doctor.
What's the matter?
It's Roger. He's taken something.
What do you mean?
To kill himself.
Within a matter of minutes, the unconscious young man was on his way to hospital. This was obviously an emergency. An admission procedure, the red tape was forgotten. Dr. Newman was satisfied after about half an hour that his latest patient would live, albeit against his temporary will, and he ordered admission to Ward 3C, the psychiatric section of the hospital. There, the case was handed over to Dr. Everton.
He's coming round, Doctor.
Thank you, nurse. Where am I? I don't upset yourself, Mr. Houghton. You're in hospital.
Who are you?
My name's Everton, Dr. Everton.
What happened?
Oh, yes, I remember. I wanted to die.
Mr. Houghton.
You shouldn't let me die.
With all due respect, Mr. Houghton, there are times when a man doesn't know what he wants. Even when he takes an overdose of sleeping tablets, meaning to put an end to it all, it's possible he doesn't know.
I knew. What could there possibly be to live for?
Time passes, and I'm sorry if that sounds like the cliche it is, but it's true. Whatever it is that's bothering you now will change. It must do. There's nothing that has any chance of not changing.
Cut out the bedside homilies, Doctor. I don't need them. I don't care what you say. I knew that I wanted to die. I wish you'd let me.
Then why did you take those sleeping tablets in your own home with your mother and father at home, knowing that the chances were they would look in to see you?
Shut up, will you? Don't talk to me like that. You've no right to tell me what I was thinking, what I wanted to do. I'm the one to tell you.
Give him the injection, nurse.
Right.
Keep away from me.
Mr. Houghton and I can talk when he has had a rest.
I'm getting out of here.
Now listen to me, please. Roger.
Now, you listen to me. Does the name Linda Grossfield mean anything to you?
Yes.
Oh. I have discussed her case at some length with Dr. Newman. He told me all about it.
Did he tell you that I almost killed that girl? I loved her. We were going to be married. That's why we were celebrating the new year, our year. I got drunk, I behaved like a pig, I drove like a lunatic. I ruined her life. Did Dr. Newman tell you that? Did he tell you that you'll probably never be able to walk again, did he?
Yes.
And how can you tell me that I didn't want to die?
She wants to see you. Your fiancée.
I don't want to see her.
I'm a psychiatrist, Roger. One of the first lessons I ever learned after I'd qualified was that it's often a mistake to say anything with certainty. It's almost inevitably a mistake to make snap judgments, but I'm going to risk it now.
Well?
You want to see Linda. Of course you do. You loved her.
You're playing with words. I know what you're getting at. All right, let's be clever. I do want to see her. But I can't bring myself to see her.
I'm sticking my neck out again, I know, but isn't it about time you stopped thinking about yourself? It's the girl you're going to marry who's in need of sympathy.
You don't think I don't feel sorry for her? I can never expect her to marry me now. I can never ask her.
But you are going to talk to her. Because that's what she wants.
Linda? Linda?
Roger?
Yes, it's me.
I'm glad you've come.
I don't know what to say.
There's no need to say anything.
I mean, I'm sorry. It sounds so stupid.
You don't even have to say that.
Oh, Linda.
Hush now.
You're the one that should be crying, of course.
No. Did they tell you that I wanted to see you?
Yes, both of them. Dr. Newman and Dr. Everton.
Let me just say what I have to say. It's not easy.
Maybe you should just rest.
No. I wanted you to take your ring back. It's in the drawer of the cabinet there.
Linda.
I can't marry you, Roger.
I understand. How could you after what I've done to you?
No, that's what I have to explain. It's not because of what you did, what happened. But I could never be a real wife to you. I heard the doctor talking. I'm going to be all right. I mean, I'm not going to die or anything. It's going to be a long time before I get out of here. There are going to have to be a lot more operations. And when it's all over, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my lifetime in a wheelchair.
Linda.
Please, let me finish. What I mean is, this has got nothing to do with what you did, or the police, or lawsuits, or insurance, nothing like that. I just wanted you to understand. I was going to make you the best wife any man ever had. You made a mistake, but you don't have to pay for it for the rest of your life.
You're going to have to.
There's nothing anybody can do about that. We can do something about you.
You're a remarkable woman, do you know that? Dr. Everton was right. I suppose deep down I have been feeling sorry for myself. One learns. I thought you were going to tell me that you never wanted to see me again because you hated me.
I love you. But I still never want to see you again. Goodbye, Roger. We had good times together. Thank you.
Linda.
Goodbye.
The months passed. Gradually, stage by stage, according to a carefully planned schedule, Dr. Newman worked to restore Linda Grosfield's broken body to something of its former self. And at the same time, Roger Houghton sought psychiatric help from Dr. Everton, administered gradually, stage by stage, according to a carefully planned schedule. And yet,
neither doctor was wholly satisfied with his patient's progress. They met by chance one day in the hospital staff canteen.
Dr. Newman. Mind if I join you?
Oh, no, not at all, old chap. Sit down.
Yeah, thank you.
Not often we see you slumming.
It's not often I get time to slum.
Touché.
I'm glad I bumped into you, though. I'd be meaning to pay you an official visit. There's something I've been wanting to talk to you about.
Do I get a prize for guessing?
Roger Houghton, Linda Gersfield.
I would have won.
How is she?
Well, to misquote the old cliché, not as well as can be expected.
I see.
We've done everything we can. You know what she was like when she came in here, a wreck. I told you there was little chance she'd ever be able to live outside a wheelchair. Well, the broken bones have all been set. They've been set and broken and reset. It's all been successful, pathologically. But there's something lacking, something missing.
Yeah, would you like some, Miss T?
No, thanks. I've already had some. Look, I'm pretty good when it comes to teamwork in the limbs or the nerve-muscle partnership. But you're the head man. Is there any such thing as not wanting to get better? Not wanting to be as fit and well as you could be?
Well, that's a very complex question.
I'm looking for a simple, uncomplex answer.
All right. I'll tell you. Now, I'll tell you what I think you want to hear. There's definitely such a thing as a conviction, false but real, that there's nothing worth living for.
See. And Roger Houghton?
Not as well as can be expected.
I see.
Well, we've done everything we can.
From what I heard, he was in quite a lot of trouble.
He still could be. He's still going to have to face the music sooner or later. In the meantime, I've said he's in no state to even look at the orchestra.
I see.
There's something missing, something lacking.
You don't mind by any chance working along the same lines as mine is?
Possibly. Tell me.
Well, you see, what I was wondering was this.
Good afternoon, nurse.
Oh, hello, Mr. Houghton.
I'm a bit late for my appointment, I'm afraid.
That's all right. Dr. Everton's running late anyway.
Do you want me to wait over there?
No, not today. The doctor thought he'd like to talk to you in the garden. He'll come out and see you there.
Oh.
He thought it might be easier for you to talk with him there.
All right.
It's down the corridor and through the swing doors at the end.
Yes, I've seen it.
Quite a lot of patients from the other wards use it. You'll see some of them there. Don't let them bother you. You don't have to take any notice of them if you don't want to.
Fine. Well, thank you, nurse.
The doctor will come and find you there.
Linda.
Hello, Roger.
Well, fancy meeting you.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. Dr. Newman says he's very pleased with me.
Good.
And you?
All right, I'm waiting for Dr. Everton.
Oh.
It's funny, I've passed the garden lots of times. I've never seen you out here.
This is the first time I've been out. They wheeled me out today to get some sun. Ward's pretty dark.
I've often thought of coming to visit you, but you said you didn't want to see me.
I know.
It's funny, this is the first time I've been sent out here. Do you think maybe that...
What?
No. I just wondered, they could have done it deliberately.
I didn't think so for 1 minute.
Do you mind if I stay and talk? I mean, if you'd rather I didn't, I'd quite understand.
No, please stay. I'd like you to.
And the two young people talked for the rest of that afternoon, and almost every afternoon after that. And if either of them ever thought to comment on the fact that Dr. Everton never put in an appearance to talk things over with his patient, neither of them ever said anything.
I never thought I'd see it, Miss Grossfield. You walking out of here. I'm happy to have been proven wrong.
Thank you, Doctor. And thank you for everything you've done for me.
It's been a long time.
2 years.
But I only did what I could. I couldn't very well ask you to walk down the aisle to me.
But you can walk down with me. A bride needs somebody to give her away.
And somebody to be waiting for her.
A story with a happy ending, because the doctors realized that when something is missing, something is lacking, there is nothing worth living for. Linda and Roger needed that extra something over and above all that the doctors could do.
Medical File, the documented story of the men and women who in hospitals, research centers, and lonely surgeries guard our lives. Listen again next week for another true story from Medical File. This is a true story taken from an actual medical file.
Well, of course, you know the dangers of eating too much fatty substances, don't you? It tends to build up the cholesterol level inside the body. And with too much cholesterol building up over a period of time, there's always the danger of heart attack. But did you have onions with your meal? And perhaps a touch of garlic? Good. Now you can breathe easy again. You're puzzled, are you? Well, the story I'll tell you tonight will explain what I mean. I call it an onion a day.
Medical File. Factual stories of the men and women whose vigilance guards our lives. A reconstruction of clinical case histories, step by step with the doctors who were there. Medical File.
Doctors invented the 36-hour day. It's the only way they managed to get any rest. And that's a fact of medical life all over the world. Now, late at night at a hospital in the north of England, Dr. Peter Wilson and Dr. Martin Burks come to the end of their working day.
Hello, Peter. You still here?
Good heavens, so I am. Funny, I could have sworn I was somewhere else.
All right, very funny. Sorry I asked.
Oh, joke, you know.
It must be late at night.
It is. What's worse, I might even survive till tomorrow.
Tired?
Dead. And you?
Yes. Been watching the old man in A14.
A14?
Kidney failure.
Oh, yes, I know. How's it coming along?
I think he'll be all right for a while. I don't know how long he can last, though. Hard to tell. And you?
Old Penfold in P7.
Penfold? Is he in here?
Yes. Why, do you know?
I've been treating him on and off for years. And his family. Overweight, that's his problem. Usual children stuff in his family.
Well, he's got more of a problem than just overweight now. Came in this evening with a coronary.
Bad as that.
And could it be worse?
Well...
Well, don't even think it. I've seen worse cases pull through. You're closer.
Right. Hello? No, it's Martin Burks. Yes, he's here. Hold on. It's for you.
Oh, is it now? Thanks. Hello, Peter Wilson. Yes? Oh, I see. Oh, blast the luck. All right, I'll be right down.
Bad news?
It got worse.
Old Penfold?
Yes.
Well, I dare say you did all you could for him, Peter.
Of course I did, but no doctor likes to lose a patient, no matter what the circumstances are.
Yes, I know. Mind you, I told him this last time I saw him, and that was, about 3 years ago last. I told him then that he was digging his own grave with his teeth.
Heart attack. A century ago, when perhaps we were more sensible about things like diet and exercise, it was almost unknown. Yet today, it ranks as one of the world's greatest killer diseases. Age is no barrier. Coronary thrombosis has been known to strike down people in their 60s and 20s alike, although the danger age is between 40 and 50. Dr. Peter Wilson wondered about this, wondered what help he might bring to heart patients. Diet, exercise, these were the standard long-term preventives. Some drugs help, both before and after the event. But these drugs are in their infancy. But even doctors have to rest sometimes. And so, when time permitted, Dr. Wilson took a short holiday in France, out in the country and away from the team.
Nothing like a good walk in the morning to clear the cobwebs away. Exercise. If only more of my patients would remember that. Clean, crisp air. It's wonderful. Hello? What's that, then? Must be just over that rise. Let's go have a look. A training paddock, no less. They're beautiful, those nags. Must be in peak of condition. Worth watching for a while, definitely.
They are très beautiful, are they not, monsieur?
Yes, you gave me quite a start there. Yes, very beautiful. Doesn't make good to see fine animals like that. I thought I'd watch them for a bit.
You may watch all you wish, monsieur. I know the pleasure one may receive from such a sight.
They're your horses, then?
Oui, I trained them, yes. But permit me to introduce myself. I am Charles Robert Dutoit, breeder and trainer of the finest horses in Provence.
So it seems. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my manners. Peter Wilson from Sutton Coldfield in England. How do you do?
Do you do this often, to walk so far from the village so early in the morning?
Oh, I try to get a walk in whenever I can. Good for the circulation, you know. Keeps you in trim.
A man of good health.
I only wish more of my patients would do the same.
Oh, you are a doctor, Monsieur Wilson.
Yes, that I am.
Très noble.
Très ruddy difficult, also. Not often I manage to get a break like this, but it's worth it, I suppose. Darn sight more useful than sitting in an office all day.
Those who sit in offices have their uses, monsieur. But I also would not wish to be hemmed in by four walls. Although I do what I enjoy.
And you do it well by the looks of things, too. Fine animals. Fine animals.
Oui, but such is the pity. The horse that would be my finest. It is my greatest disappointment.
Disappointment? Why?
Look, you can see it. The grade. The one who hangs always back a bit. He should be one of the great winners. But unless I keep his treatments going, it may be that he will not race at all.
Yes, sir. And what's his problem, then?
He develops, how you say it, the hard blood in his legs.
Hard blood? Oh, you mean blood clots?
Oui, that is it. His blood makes clots in his legs. And the cure, it is only passing.
Doesn't last, eh?
No. For a short while, it works. But of course, it is difficult to sustain over a long period of time. And when the treatment stops, the clots of blood come back to his legs again.
I see. Must be pretty expensive, all those injections.
Injections? What injections?
Well, those you've just told me about for your horse.
Oh, no, monsieur. You have the branch by the end which is bad. I do not talk of injections. I speak of a soup which I make for him.
Soup? What kind of a soup?
Oh, quite a simple one. But he does not like the taste of onions and garlic.
Look, I know we've only just met. Excuse me if I'm being rude, but are you sure you're not pulling my leg?
Monsieur?
Well, making a joke. You're not fooling me.
Monsieur, would I do such a thing as to pull the leg? It would make no sense.
Yes, but feeding onions and garlic to a horse with clots in his leg doesn't make much sense either.
Oh, I assure you that this is what I do. This is what one of the finest animal doctors in all France prescribes.
And it works?
Oh, it has worked for centuries, monsieur le docteur.
It's an old cure, then, huh?
Oui, it has been known for many hundreds of years. There's no one who knows where it began. But I will tell you for certain that it works.
Oh, so you say, Mr. Dutoit.
Indeed, I do say so, monsieur le docteur Wilson. Not only I, but the animal doctor also says the same. And you will also find many breeders of horses who know it to be true.
And it cures the clots in the legs, just like that?
Oui, in a little time.
It's fantastic, you know. A simple thing like that.
Now look, Dr. Wilson. You may see how well it works. Here come my horses now.
You want me to watch the grey?
Oui, see how well it runs. Oh, alas, not the great horse it might perhaps have been, but would it run at all if it had in its legs hard blood?
No, I suppose not. You know, I wonder about this, Mr. Dutoit. I wonder.
He's miles away. Peter.
Oh, yes, sir.
The waiter wants to know if you'd like some more soup.
Soup. Oh, yes. Garçon, je ne aimerais encore, s'il vous plaît.
Oh, really, Peter? You must do something about your friend.
What for, dear? He understood, didn't he?
Yes, well, I'm not too happy with the way he winced at your order.
Oh, I see. You'd like to see him wince some other way.
Oh, you know what I mean. And still, that French will know. It's nice to have a holiday now and again. At least we get a chance to see each other.
Yes, we do. I'm enjoying it here. You should join me for those walks in the morning, you know.
I don't know how you can raise yourself up out of bed on that unearthly time. Far prefer having you wake me when you come back.
You're idle, that's what you are.
What an accusation to level at a doctor's wife.
Especially when she's also a nursing sister. I know.
Did I say that?
No, but you were going to. You always do.
See how you misjudged me.
I have to make it up to you. It's taking an awful long time with that soup. I wonder if they're growing a fresh batch of vegetables for it.
Do you like it?
I do.
Have to make a note of that. Make it for you when we get back home.
That'd be nice. If they had a menu here, I could see what it was.
Well, can't you taste?
Well, nothing I can say for sure. Sort of peppery, I should think.
Oh, you Philistine, you know that. One of the soups that made a great nation out of France, and you don't even know what
All
it
right,
is.
I confess I'm no good. What is it?
Well, French onion soup, no less.
Onion soup? With onions in it?
Yeah, I'm sure. You didn't think they made it with carrots, did you? Careful your arm, Peter. There's the waiter.
Merci, garçon. Martha, I just had an idea.
Anyone else, I'd say it's a good sign. I'm not too sure about
No,
you.
no, listen. I think it's a good idea, and it's important. Important to my work.
Peter, you're not thinking about your work while you're on holiday, are you?
I think about it all the time. I'm a cardiac surgeon, remember?
And you're also my husband. I didn't want to see you wearing yourself out from nothing but work the whole time.
Well, sometimes it just has to be like that, I'm afraid. You see, there's something I'd like to do. And I think I ought to go back right away.
Right away? But we're on holiday, Peter. It's the first one we've had in years.
I know, darling, but there's something I must get started on. I really must go back. You can stay on here if you like.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of that. But would you mind telling me what makes it so important that we have to cut our holiday short?
Martha, this is, going to sound too stupid for words, but I want to get back to the hospital to see about onions.
And so Dr. Peter Wilson and his wife returned to the Queen Mary Clinic at Sutton Coldfield to see about onions. It seemed ridiculous to introduce the lowly onion into the realm of research into heart disease. But where human life is at stake, a lead not followed can easily mean many lives lost. Peter Wilson wanted to try an experiment. But at first, everyone at the hospital, from the Board of Governors to Peter Wilson's fellow doctors, was starkly opposed to the idea.
You're crazy. I'm sorry, but you're obviously clean out of your mind. Whoever heard of onions in heart research?
All right, but whoever heard of getting iodine out of seaweed?
Well, that's different.
Well, what's different about it? There might be something in onions that really does stop blood clots.
Yes, but, well, shouldn't that thing, whatever it is, be isolated and manufactured pure and then given to heart patients?
Yes, of course, but it hasn't been isolated. That's the point. So why shouldn't we simply try with whole onions?
Well, no reason, I suppose, but what's to say it'll work?
Well, it works on horses in France.
So it'll automatically work on humans in England?
No, not necessarily, but do you think it's worth a try?
Well, what if it doesn't work?
In that case, what have we lost? But think of what we've gained if it does work.
I still think you're out of your mind. But if you want any help with your research, you know where to look for it.
That's kind of you, Martin, thanks. I might even take advantage of it. Me, love, I'm home.
I'm in the study, dear.
Oh? What are you doing?
Just finishing off these data sheets for your tests.
Mm-hmm.
And there's room here for all the details. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Here, have a look at this.
Let me see. Mm-hmm. Yes, it looks fine.
Any word from the Board of Governors?
No, not a peep. I don't think they're exactly on my side. You should have heard what the hospital dietitian said when I mentioned onions.
I can imagine.
You can't. I never imagined that the Scots could talk like that. She's so charming otherwise. All right, love, I've got it. Hello, Peter Wilson. Yes, of course. It's them. They must have decided something. Mr. Shaw, good evening. No trouble. Now? But I've just come in. Yes, I understand. Give me a quarter.
Come in.
Hello, Martin.
Peter, I heard you were in with the bigwigs just now.
I was. house, hence the harrowed brow. Or is it furrowed brow?
Harried, perhaps.
Could be. I must really ask Martha.
You're stalling.
Me? Whatever makes you think such a thing?
Oh, nothing. A mere 7 years or so of seeing you at this hospital almost every day. Nothing at all.
All right. They said I could go ahead.
They did. Now, how on earth did you get them to agree? They were all against the idea.
Oh, I had to go into long explanations about how animal fats build up cholesterol in the body and block up the arteries over a period of time and form clots if they break off.
The history of a heart attack, in effect.
Yes, indeed.
I suppose they did point out that horses don't eat animal fats.
They did. So then I told them about the anti-clotting factors in the bloodstream and the tests I wanted to run with onions in the diet.
And they said yes?
Only when I said I wanted volunteers. They were under the impression that I wanted every patient in the hospital to try the onion diet.
So now you're after volunteers?
I am indeed. On the working side, I've got you and Martha. Now it's time to find a few among the patients.
I am glad they agreed, dear. That must be a load off your mind.
Yes, and a load of work coming up for us, dear. For the next month or two, at least.
How do you plan to arrange the diet?
Well, some way where we can easily tabulate the results. It seems best, I think, to give them a breakfast with plenty of fats on the one day, then give them onions the next. Then you can take the blood samples at night, and the laboratory will have 24 hours to analyze them.
So I'm back in uniform so soon, am I?
Indeed you are, Sister Wilson.
I always knew you didn't marry me for my money.
I did, all 9pence of it.
What about the volunteers? Have they been organized yet?
I've arranged for 22.
Any particular type?
No, they're in for a number of things. Cardiac, some fracture, some plastic, some from all over the place. Good cross-section.
I bet Mrs. Mackenzie's not pleased having to remember who gets a special diet amongst all those...
We've taken care of that, luckily. Been able to move them all into one section without too much trouble.
If I know Mrs. Mackenzie, she'll have an attack of the mutters anyway the minute you walk into her kitchen.
She's had them already. But she seems resigned to it. Right, Martha, let's organize these charts into names and ages. We may as well make a start.
This must be the breakfast trolley for our lot over there.
Must be. Let's have a look.
Oh, phew. Poor beggars. You don't expect them to eat that, do you?
What's so bad about it? Eskimos live on fat all through the winter. This is a small helping by comparison.
Yes, all right, but these patients of ours aren't Eskimos.
There's only about a quarter pound there per person. Minimum 3 1/4 ounces.
Well, all I can say is that I'm glad it's them and not me.
Yes, Doctor? Sister Wilson reporting for duty.
Hello, dear. Good day?
Fairish. How did your patients enjoy their breakfast?
Oh, hated every minute of it, I'm told.
I'm not surprised. Who would want 1/4 pound of fat?
An average person takes in a lot more than that over 2 days. Got your needles and tubes ready?
The needles are sterilizing.
Good girl. Off you go, then. Blood samples from everyone in Section D. Dr. Burke's the great breakfast complainer. Morning, Martin.
Hello, Peter. I thought I'd drop by to examine the meals you're giving these poor people today.
Well, let this be a lesson to you. Look here.
I say, you are doing them proud, aren't you? Liver and onions, no less.
With, I might add, a minimum of 2 ounces of onion per person.
Yes, but you might have taken it one step further.
One step to where, for instance?
Well, you might at least have fried the onions, instead of being trapped into the great British tendency to boil everything in sight.
Results of yesterday's blood samples came in this afternoon, dear.
Oh, did they? What are they?
I've had time to open them myself. In the brown envelope over there.
All right, let's have a look. Hello. Well, there's a few interesting figures for you.
What are they?
Patients. Same. This one's even higher.
I'm feeling sorry I didn't open the envelope myself, so help me. Now, what did the tests show?
Just what you knew they would. After a fatty meal, the anticoagulant factor in the blood has gone down.
So the blood will clot more easily, but we know that already. What about cholesterol?
Some marginal increases, some unchanged.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing to get excited about.
True, it does take a long time to build up in the arteries. Well, tonight's sample should give us some results tomorrow, I hope.
And heaven knows, I know a hint when I hear one. All right, Dr. Wilson, sir. I'm on my way to gather in the samples.
Shouting and complaining about the breakfast again this morning, was there?
Not as much as I expected. We've got a stoic lot in Section D, I can tell you.
You'd have to have, with 1/4 pound of fat shoved at them every morning.
Every second morning. No need to make things sound worse than they really are.
Bad enough, anyway. Have you had the results of last night's blood samples?
No, not yet. Should be here any minute, though.
2 doctors with but a single door. Hello, dear. Hello, Martin. Keeping well?
Well enough, thanks.
Hello, darling. We're just sitting waiting for the lab report. Nothing's come over here
Well,
yet.
it's because you're sitting that you haven't got it. Here, I picked it up on the way.
Oh, let me see.
What does it say?
Any results positive?
Well, I'd already had a look at them, so I won't spoil your fun. Here you are.
Thanks, sir. Mm-hmm. Martin, yeah, look at this. Here's one patient whose anticoagulant level is up since the onions.
Less chance of blood clots.
And another. And another. Hang on, one here back to his previous level. But they're all up, every one of them.
But what about the cholesterol level?
No significant change. Marginally lower in some cases, that's all.
Mind you, cholesterol takes a long time to build up. It's only logical that it would take a long time to break down.
That's true enough, Martha. But you know, I think we're onto something here. I think we're onto something.
Results of the first few days' testing certainly seemed consistent. After the volunteers were fed with a greasy breakfast, containing almost a quarter-pound of fat, the factor contained in the bloodstream which prevents the blood from clotting was reduced in every case. In effect, the risk of a blood clot rose. But on alternate days, when the patients were served their breakfasts, each with 2 ounces of boiled onion, the anticoagulant factor rose, reducing the risk of a dangerous blood clot at the same time. The cholesterol question remained open. The changes were too small to be in any way abnormal. But there was yet another question which remained unanswered, and Dr. Peter Wilson now tried to find the answer.
What do you think of these results we're getting?
Fantastic, I should say. 10 days of testing and the results are consistently positive all the way through.
Yes, but I've been thinking about this. We've only been feeding our volunteers boiled onions up to now.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, you said something about that.
Yes. I said it must be a pretty monotonous diet. You ought to try frying them or something.
Yes, if they're fried, they'll absorb fats. I wonder if this won't counteract the effect the onions seem to have.
Oh, I don't know. But there's one sure way to find out, isn't there?
Yes, try it out. Perhaps even try the garlic out as well.
Oh, why bother? We're on to a good thing with onions as it is.
All right, garlic later, perhaps. But for now, onions boiled, onions fried, onions grilled, onions raw, onions baked even. Every kind of onion we can...
No matter how the onions were prepared, the tests were positive. The results were the same. And after 24 days, Dr. Peter Wilson pronounced himself satisfied with the results. He spent some days collating and tabulating his facts, and then at last he made his report to the Board of Governors.
So, gentlemen, you now have a clear picture of the methods used and the results obtained. Now let's see what conclusions we can draw. It seems obvious that the common onion contains something which helps prevent clots forming in the blood by raising the anticoagulant factor. Obviously, this serves to lessen the risk of thrombosis. On the question of lowering the cholesterol level, the results are not significant, although one or two things are possible. First, the onion might perhaps contain the base of the drug atramid, which, as you know, we use to lower cholesterol levels when necessary. Second, onions, as a vegetable, might cause the body to take in fats at a slower rate. Again, it is well known that some foods retard the absorption rates of others. Gentlemen, the findings of this experiment are only the springboard for further research, nothing more. But this research might well show that we have made a great step towards the elimination of one of the killer diseases of our time.
Well, there it is. The smallish onion weighs about 2 ounces.
Medical File, the documented story of the men and women who in hospitals, research centers, and lonely surgeries guard our lives. Listen again next week for another true story from Medical File.